Basically, I'm related. I'm the nephew, he's the uncle. Keeps me on the right path. And being the tour manager for Keith Sweat, it's definitely a learning experience. You get to learn a lot, travel all around the world, you know, meet different people, you know, hone your skills as far as, you know, being the best at what you do. I've been doing it since fresh out of high school, '88.
When Keith was hot, the New Jack Swing era, that's where I come from. It was just a time that was my development time coming up. So I was like, oh, one day I'm gonna work with him, one day. He was at a Drew Hill show that I was music director for. And when I came off stage, he was standing right there. He was like, hey, what's up, babe, you know? It was a pleasure watching you up there tonight, you know. Hopefully in the future we work together. I was like, hey, definitely. And just so happened, we met up. And that's how it happened from there. Role as music director, making sure that the musical part of it sounds like the album. It's one thing to go out there, you got a hot album, you know, people know your music, and then when you get on stage with a band, and you ain't hearing the same thing. So it's really important to keep, you know, the sound the same.
I met Keith back in 1987. I met him at a club up in Harlem, the Mark IV. He used to play down there with this group called Jamila. And it was a real small club, and they come in here, man, and they would like, you know, just put fire to this club. You know, it was doing like what he's doing now, he pretty much, you know, that's where it came from. After the show, I went up to him, and I said, yo, man, you know, good set. And you know, Keith was like, yo, baby, you know, yeah, I do my thing, baby, you know. 1987 came around, and then I Wanna came out. And actually, I started out as a tech with him, from tech to stage manager to drummer. So I pretty much been down with him for a minute, man.
As a producer, I'm just enjoying life right about now.
So I'm jamming with you for a minute, and then when you start taking off with the "Don't let it be a dream, man," I'm back over here with you.
We used to compete against each other.
You and Keith?
I was in another band called Total Climax, and he was with Jamila, and we won. So Keith was always like, yo, that little kid is nice, blah, blah, blah. He didn't know he lived 3 blocks away from me. He said, yo, man, you need to give me some of the beats you got. I'll write to it.
I remember me and Ted shooting dice. We hit these kids up for a bunch of money while we were shooting dice.
We used to just gamble every day. And one time we gambled, and we took everybody's money. After
we won the money, me and Ted said, yo, let's go do this record. So we ended up writing, just got paid Friday night. Ted's still doing what he do, I still do what I do. And as you see the Sweat Hotel, we just brought it all back together.
I actually been knowing Keith for over 8 years because I was presently working with New Edition. And we've been touring with Keith since back in the day. Keith was familiar with me from working with them. Once my time with New Edition passed on because I wanted to further myself in the game, actually Randy called me and said there was a situation where Keith wanted to talk to me about coming on the road with him and doing some sequencing and programming. And that consists of dealing with all the instruments that the band does not play. I actually have to program those into a computer, and the band pretty much follows along with that sequencer.
My title is a keyboardist. I play keyboards. How did I meet Keith Sweat? I was in a music store one day, and while in the music store, I was playing keys and I was helping this young man learn how to do something on the Yamaha. The kid looked up behind me, he was like, you know, how you doing, Mr. Sweat? So all I could do was look behind me quickly, and I had a glimpse of his watch. Only for you to have a watch like that, you got to be breaded up. I turned around and I was starstruck. I was like, hey, did you know you're Keith Sweat? He said, keep playing. And he sat there for like 10 or 15 minutes and just kept listening to me play. And he said, give me your number, because I might want to bring you on the road with me. I was like, sure. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah. 2 months later, he calls me. The rest of it's history.
I met Keith Sweat about 11 years ago. He had a club called The Industry, and I've been here ever since. A day in the life of touring with Keith is interesting. Sometimes sound check could be 5 minutes, it could be 5 hours. And sometimes I'm thinking about myself. I may be with 2 or 3 other people, but it's something that I've been doing with him for a while, and I look forward, you know, every week. We tour, he tours a lot, you know, just constantly.
From Keith, the most powerfulest thing that I've gotten from him is how to stay true to the game. Don't change who you are. You know, don't change what you truly are, man. Keep them seeing that. You know, keep yourself business minded. Be humble, but just keep your eyes on the game. That's what he showed me.
Several things I asked before I started working with him. I said, you know, I call him Doc. I said, I want to learn everything that you know. I want to take the good and the bad, and I want to process it, and I want to learn it.
Oh, I learned a lot of things from Keith. He actually gave me my first opportunity to sing lead. And it was really amazing because the times we rehearsed, I only did it from the background. And I remember the first day of the show, it was in this big arena with New Edition and Blackstreet. And he was like, Michi, you know you're gonna have to come from the mic. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're gonna throw tomatoes at me. No one knew me from a can of paint.
What he's shown me in this business, that is definitely consistency, hard work, pays off. You put in 100%, you're definitely gonna get 100%.
I got to travel all around the world. I got to see people, you know, meet different groups, different artists. Well, this is like the learning ground for me. So I came up, you know, watching all the people that I admired and listened to coming up as a musician. And now you know, we're playing, I'm in the same dressing room with them, you know, so it was pretty cool.
Memorable moment with Keith to me would be, we was out here in Atlanta in Tree Sound Studios.
What's up? Sweat man in the house, baby.
That was the first time I had the opportunity to be in the studio with him to see how he puts together his music, and I seen right then and there, that's why he is who he is. I had that opportunity to see that man write hits. Memorable moment right there, because that's business, and that's what I'm on.
Keith Sweat is a songwriter. Speak for itself. Been around 20-something years. What more can I say? He's still here.
Sometimes I hear a record, a song on the radio, and I'm like, that song sounds real familiar, but it would have been a song that I've written, and that's a blessing to me. That's definitely a blessing to me.
When you hear his albums or his songs, out of 10 songs or 11 songs, you're gonna be able to relate to something that he's talked about on record. You're definitely gonna get something out of it. It's like, you know, food for thought.
He has real music, things that you can relate to, younger, older people. A lot of times we're in the airport or in the mall and 10-year-olds and 9-year-olds come up and they know who he is. And it's amazing because when he first started, they were not born. But his music is real, it has substance to it, and it's something that everyone can relate to.
He's a good songwriter. I mean, look what he came out with. I Wanna, Don't Stop Your Love. First of all, you gotta have a love for this. You just can't, you know, the reason why these artists write these hits is because they love what they do.
Keith says something a lot. He says, well, what do people make love to nowadays? What we have on the radio now isn't real R&B. You can't make love to that stuff, you know, so I think mostly what he kind of brought up in me was the true essence of love music, making people feel sexy, you know, making people know melodies that make you say, let me call somebody.
I think the reason why people still listen to him and he has longevity is because he basically, you know, speaks from the heart. And he talks about everyday things that go on, the ups and downs of relationships. He stays in his lane. He's not trying to do what the next person's trying to do. He does him.
People are still listening to Keith because his music is true R&B. Everybody still loves that sound. You know, it takes them back. Love songs. Everybody during that time, even now, is inspiring to be in love.
I think people still listen to Keith because people are still making love.
Him and Teddy Riley, they pretty much switched the whole game. you know, to come out and actually change music and then have everybody in the music business copy your style of music.
To more emphasize on Teddy Riley and Keith, when those two came together and came out with that Make It Last album, it totally set the precedence for what was to come for the next 12 or 13 years in the industry.
His work speaks for itself, you know, from back in the, early 80s, and you still around making hits, and people are still coming to you to write for them, whether you like it or not. You dope, son.
He's very talented, and I think it's the second life for him. He's coming back around, you know.
Well, he's been around for so long, and he has stability in what he's been doing, as well as longevity.
There's a lot of young singers that's coming out now. You know, when they see him, they say, "Oh man, they go Keith Sweat." You know, they always giving him respect because he pretty much put that thing together for our era. Because other people did it before him, you know what I'm saying? And that was his time.
One of the most memorable moments, or should I say scary moments, was a month ago. We were on this little plane.
We went to South America.
We was flying to Suriname.
We got there, something happened. Pretty much we had to stay in the airport and wait for another plane to come. They're sending a jet for us, a private jet. So this little plane comes, like this, you know, just like a one-engine plane.
And a little small plane.
A little propeller plane, it was like big as your car.
They took our luggage and had to put it in the front to like distribute the weight. So we got on the plane, man.
We had been up in the air for like an hour, and all of a sudden the plane it was like somebody was shaking it.
I turned around and everybody had their eyes closed, like, you know, like they would sleep, but inside I knew everybody was shaking.
And we were scared.
Everyone over the plane was praying, and that was really crazy. It changed our whole attitudes for the whole day. Everybody was being nice.
We landed in the airport, but the airport was like somebody's barn.
I mean, the biggest to the smallest, we were scared.
The next thing you know, the plane comes down. We start seeing chickens in people's houses, and we land in this person's backyard, man. So that's pretty much like one of the scariest moments, you know, that I've had with him. Just traveling was, you know, going to these different places was really cool.
The Sweat Hotel was a genius idea Keith had. I remember one day we were riding in the car and he thought, I'm gonna name my album Sweat Hotel.
We had a talk with Keith, you know, my partner, producer, Amy Bolton Curley was the one that suggested to Keith, hey, why don't we take your Sweat Hotel new CD idea and let's do a DVD. You've never done a DVD before. Let's go ahead and do one.
The Sweat Hotel and the Sweat Project is very near and very dear to me because I think it's time that Keith has a recollection of his career.
There were some challenges that we had to deal with in the beginning. Like when Keith and his band had to do a gig up in Hartford, Connecticut, and there was a blizzard and they got snowed in.
All those people that ain't going to the show tomorrow, when I see y'all Sunday if I don't get caught in that snowstorm.
A day before the concert, the airport still closed. Amy contacted the vice president of Amtrak and told them that Keith Sweat and his band need to get back here to Atlanta for a concert. And she was like, you know what, I love Keith Sweat. I will call the train and tell them to hold the train for Keith and his band. That's one of the many challenges that we've had to deal with.
Camera one, take one.
It was really exciting watching that come to, you know, someone having a thought in their head and it actually coming to real life.
Our plan is a hot set.
The set was set like a hotel and it was amazing.
Fantastic stage coordination, fantastic lights, incredible camera angles.
And I never thought that they could make a stage, you know, something come to life. The sofas, everything, a bar, everything that a hotel has in it.
High energy performances from the artists and of course the most important thing is the energy from the audience.
Y'all say Keith, y'all say Sweat, Keith, Sweat, Keith, Sweat.
The Sweat Hotel has the new jack swing pioneers in it, from Teddy Riley to Keith. The Sweat Hotel kind of just goes ahead and tells you, okay, yo, let us perform for you what we felt when we wrote those records back then. Keith Sweat off stage.
He's really funny, he's comical, you know, on stage and off, so he is never a dull moment with him.
But what I really appreciate and like about Keith is his humbleness. He doesn't travel with a huge entourage. And that's very important because he knows who he is, so he doesn't need a lot of people to feed into his ego.
What you see on stage is nothing like how he is off stage with his family.
When it comes to his mom, she's like the love of his life, and he runs everything by her. And when a man loves his mother, you know he knows how to treat his woman.
First thing, as a father, one thing I do see about Keith is that he loves his kids.
I got a lot of respect for him when it comes to taking care of his kids.
He's such a passionate, loving father. His children are first and foremost in his life.
I would say his #1 priority for doing what he does is for his kids.
He goes to school conferences and soccer games.
When you see him out with his kids, you know they're his kids. He's embracing them, he's showing love to them.
When he's with his kids, he's like, I'm Keith Sweat, their dad, you know. And he makes them feel like he's just a regular dad. He irons their clothes and he gets them dressed for school.
Like we'll go on the road, or you know, he's always, you know, I want to bring my kids, or we go shopping somewhere. You know, he's like, yo man, you think my daughter will like this, or you think, you know. So he's always looking out in that aspect.
He spoils them, he takes care of them, he disciplines them. So he's a great dad.
The years I've been around him, I mean, he's a man. Go through everyday trials and tribulations like anybody else.
I always look at what a person has gone through. I want to see that side of him. And on a personal tip, I've had a chance to see that. I have a chance to see how he has to deal with this game, ups and downs, you know, but he's still hanging strong.
As a friend, Keith is a real honest friend. He gives you who he is, and he says who he is. If he has a problem, he tells you. If he loves you, he tells you. You know, he cares for people that he calls his friend.
He's a friend, confidant, you know, he's a father. He's, you know, everything rolled up in one. I wouldn't trade him in. I wouldn't replace him for nothing in the world.